Ready? The time is, Dr. Guy?
6:39.
6:39, Thursday, February 27th, 2020. The City of East Cleveland Agenda Review City Council meeting is now called to order. Dr. Guy, can you call the roll, please?
Okay, Counselor Austin had a death in the family, so he's excused for the night. Counselor Stevenson. Present. Counselor Martin.
Present.
Counselor Gowdy. Present. We have our Mayor King here. Law Director Linda Hemmons and Belinda Chow, Executive Assistant to the Mayor, here from the administration.
Thank you. Next, we have remarks of the public on agenda items, 2 minutes. Thank you. Seeing no remarks. Guest speaker.
We're gonna have Curtis Freed. He's the director of Strong Hands United. He reached out to us February 18th. They're having an event in April around human trafficking, and he would like to present to council next Tuesday. So that's gonna be about a 20-minute presentation.
Does he have a PowerPoint, Dr. Guy?
We're talking about that now. So
Now, what's his full name? Curtis what?
Curtis Freed,
Spell it.
F-R-E-E-D. So he's doing some things with the schools and the youth to talk about awareness, social media, video game caution, noticing and identifying potential victim in distress. So those are just some of the topics that he would like to come and present to council.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Guy. Next, we have minutes to be approved.
So you have all the minutes from January 21st through February 25th in your packet. I would ask that you review and let me know if there are any changes before next Tuesday.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Next, we have reports and announcements from Mayor Brandon L. King. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. We have a report, a lot going on. Trying to think of some highlights of what I've been reporting on since the last time we did do the advisory group downtown. Since then, we met back with the county. We met with Cleveland Growth Association, Greater Cleveland Partnership. So I just left Policy Bridge this morning.
No,
A lot going on.
Before you
We'll have
move
more
on to
detail.
that, Mayor, what is the Greater Cleveland Partnerships? Let me know, because there's so many different groups. What is the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and who are the players?
So the Greater Cleveland Partnership, right? Never heard of the Greater Cleveland Partnership?
I've heard of it, but I've heard of it.
They focus on economic development.
Yeah. So
And who are the players? Who?
it's a ton of players, you know, and it's like there's players that specialize in different areas of economic development that it's kind of hard to really, I couldn't list all of them, but just so that we're clear. So the guy that was sitting next to Todd
At the down
is
at the
with
county
the,
meeting? Okay.
right. So the gentleman I met with yesterday is Nance, right?
Not the attorney, Nance, is it?
His brother.
Oh, his brother. Okay.
I thought everybody know. He's the powerful lawyer.
Yeah.
So but it's economic development. And the lady that sat next to Councilwoman Stevenson is also.
With this group, in this group?
I mean, it's about, I say 11 different people that are listed on
Okay.
the. I would just advise to go to their website. You can read the breadth and depth of what they do,
I know they've been
who they
around for
are,
a while. Right.
and then the people. When you read some of the resumes, you're just
And they're gonna help us with economic development.
They're gonna help little old East Cleveland.
Okay. That sounds good to me. All right.
All right. So I have more Tuesday, but that's just a
All right.
piece of what I'll be talking about.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Here's a gentleman named Marty McGann. He's over government advocacy.
Marty who, Dr. Guy?
Gann, MCGANN.
MCG
GANN.
and who is he?
He's over government advocacy.
Government advocacy. And he's representing whom?
That's the Greater Cleveland.
He's with the
Partnership.
Greater Cleveland Partnership too? Okay. All right.
Greater Cleveland Partnership, thank you.
GPC.
Okay.
Next, we have receipts of communication.
There was receipt from our great mayor on harassment training for UC employees. It's gonna be tomorrow, 11 o'clock.
At the Salvation Army, all are welcome. Kindly,
11 a.m.
kindly bring yourselves as you are employees of the city.
How long is your training?
I'm not sure how long it'll
About an
be.
hour and a half.
About an hour and a half.
EEOC will be here to review and give us an overview of harassment in the workplace.
Okay.
Employees only, please.
So if I see a young lady, an employee, and say, you have nice legs, is that harassment?
Textbook.
We have to ask her.
Textbook.
She put her hands over here. I'll take it as, yeah, that qualifies.
All right. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
while you're in the
Right
receipt of
on.
communication,
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that I did attend Claude's mother's homegoing this morning, and she was 88 years old, and she lived a wonderful life, and her minister talked about her. So I'd like to add that to our meeting coming up next Tuesday, and just say a few things of what I heard.
That's the proclamation.
I got the proclamation here,
Yes,
so everybody signed it, but Austin.
sir.
Oh, and everything, but she was 88, she was involved in the church, she was, if you've seen the proclamation, she worked as an LPN for many years with the, Hope Nova, then she went to Benjamin Rose. So she was loved, and she liked to do things around Black history. You will like that. So, the mayor had a proclamation, and the judge had a proclamation. I was just running a little late, so I mentioned it to Claude while I was there. So it was a nice service. So I'll be glad to be this Tuesday.
Yes,
That's
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir. And our
Thank you.
deepest condolences goes out to Claude and his family.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Next, we have reports from council committees. The next regular city council meeting will be Tuesday, March 3rd at 6:30, right here in these very chambers. The next agenda review meeting will be Thursday, March 12th at 6:30, right here in these very chambers. Contracts and property, Councilman Austin is out with the death in the family. The next contract and property meeting will be Thursday, March 5th at 6:30 p.m. Health and safety, Councilman Martin.
Well, we got down here March 10th, is that correct, Dr. Guy? Okay, I was reading something in the paper last week from the city of Cleveland, and some training with Calvin Williams and what some things that they're doing. So one thing that I like to have at that meeting is see how we're doing and what are our plans for training for our police officers. In that article was talking about he needed more police officers, and they got about, I think, 1,200, something like that. And he was saying what they will work with what they got, but training is essential. So that's one of the things that would be So you can mention to Mayor Chief Gardner, that's one of the things that we want to talk about is training and upcoming training for 2020 for our police officers. That's one of the key things. And based on our last meeting, this issue of the chase. So we're gonna discuss that again. So hopefully we can make some progress. Those are the two main items that will be at the meeting on March 10th. Dr. Guy, okay? So we'll have our regular meeting then, Mr. Chairman, on the 10th.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Councilman.
All right.
Next, I chair the Finance Committee meeting. The next Finance Committee meeting will be on that same day, March 10th, after the Health and Safety meeting, 6:30 p.m., right here in this very chambers. General Services, Councilwoman Stevenson.
General Services Committee met on February 20th, and we had several discussions around the ordinances and the legislation that's being requested. And the General Services Committee put some stipulations on moving items out of the committee and onto the agenda. And this morning, I received communication with regard to the request of information, stating that I could go and sit with the Chief of Police Secretary as she completes an application because the application can't be printed. I don't know why the application can't be printed. But I do know that I have some concerns here. I'm being asked to sponsor legislation that I can't get any backup on. And if I can't get any backup on it, how can I sponsor it? You're asking me to sign a blank check. I don't sign blank checks at my house, so I'm not gonna sign blank checks at the city's house. And the residents are the ones who need to know information. Right now, somebody walks up to me and says, what is Safe Routes to School in East Cleveland and what does it do? I can tell you that the program has a $25,000 total. I can't tell you what that money is used for. I don't know what those activities are. And I need to know what those activities are to move this forward. I can tell you that there are 5 components and anybody can apply for a grant in any one of those 5 components. But I don't know which component we are applying in. So therefore, I don't have enough information to make an informed decision or to have an intelligent conversation with my residents about what is Safe Walks to School. What is that money being used for in East Cleveland? I'll leave that right there and I'll move on. We also had some discussion around other items that were on the agenda, and I'll go more into those at the council meeting. That concludes my report.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add a caveat. The Safe Route to School is not new. And the Councilwoman Stevenson questions are legitimate. But we have a timeline, I think was March 6th, that we need to get this done. And technically it's a health and safety issue, but I'm not going to get bogged down in that. But the administration can explain that. I know that where I used to live at, right there across from AutoZone, right there, it's a safe route issue for the kids going to Prospect and to Shaw. So all the specifics, I can't remember all of them, but we've done this before. So you might want to share something about that, but I want to be a sponsor or whatever. I don't want to hold it up. The next meeting, our next council meeting is when?
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday. So
Just the 3rd.
I suggest you get the information to Corinne Stevenson so she can deal with it intelligently and Juanita Gallo.
And it's not us that's holding this up. This grant was let January 6th. So
Yeah,
I figured that by February 6th we should have had something. You know, and especially, and it's not just this particular item that I'm focused on. It seems that I have to go through this with everything that comes down. And people need to realize, I just got here. It may be a continuation for some of my colleagues, but for me, it's brand new. And so I just want to know what the particulars are and what it does. And I would like to know that with everything that comes down, because you're asking us to sign off on things that we don't know anything about. And that's, to me, a virtual impossibility. I mean, you just write blank checks. And that's, it's not even fair to the residents to ask them to do that.
Any other comments or concerns?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd like for the mayor and, to articulate some of the specifics.
So thank you on that, and I appreciate the enthusiasm, if you will, of the chair for general services. However, I would ask that you curb your enthusiasm at certain points and at certain pieces as they come down. It is not always within our control to get this stuff to you and then in the manner that you want it. When I was on council, I can remember having that enthusiasm and wanting all this stuff. Time permitting doesn't always allow us to get you different pieces or all the requested information. I'm not sure what it is, why they can't print it out. However, I have filled out things online that you can't print. You fill it out, you submit it, right? And they just give you a receipt saying that you filled it out. They don't give you a copy of it. Safe Routes to School is a grant that's been a recurring grant since before my time. And it's different components, it's used for different things. So some of the things that I know it's used for, crossing guards, education and training. So I walked all of the undergrads or the elementary school kids to school one year, and we talked about how to cross the street, how to look both ways, and then we walked all these kids to school with the police, right? The annual bike giveaway.
Right.
Right, so it's a lot that goes into it. Something like this, I would just ask that you defer to, if not your colleagues who've been on council and have seen legislation like this come down, to the administration, to the police that bring it down, right? And I understand the concern, but it's a grant. So if we don't execute this, if we don't accept this is $25,000 that we then don't have or have to look for somewhere else to provide services that we've been providing, right? Crossing guards, to get the kids to school. So it is a health and safety issue. So it could go in health and safety, it could go in property and contracts. I mean, go in any committee, right? It just so happens that I'm a big fan of general services because that's the committee they gave me. So I usually push stuff to general services, right? So I understand your enthusiasm, right? But I'd ask that you kind of, work with us as, we're short-staffed all the way around, and we don't always have the ability to bring stuff to you in that fashion. So the Department of Transportation was here 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago.
It was here yesterday.
But they came in yesterday to assist the city in completing this grant application because
We have a new person.
the new chief and the new EA needed some assistance. So actually ODOT came to City Hall yesterday to assist the city complete the grant. And unfortunately, ODOT says we can't print it out. What we can do, Mayor, if you don't mind, we can provide her a copy of just the general framework of what the Safe Routes to School grant is. But again, ODOT came into City Hall yesterday to help the city complete the grant so that we could meet that March 6th deadline.
So they were here a couple of weeks ago with they did talk about that, and they talked about the crossing paddles, push paddles where you cross the street. We were here 2 weeks ago to talk about that. They're helped us fill that out. The benefit, not just to Safe Route to School, these are non-matching grants, so it's, it doesn't cost the city anything but the time we put forth to work on these grants, and then, once we receive the grant, to then execute the grant and fill out whatever paperwork you have to fill out after
The
you,
reporting.
the reporting of the grant. So, I understand your concerns, but I would ask that, that as a unit, we move this forward, keeping in mind it's a health and safety issue. We did take those lights down.
Yeah.
We did recently have a couple minor.
And this is the part of the promise from Governor DeWine, when he said he was going to assist the city get more grants. So he did send ODOT to us to make sure we're getting access to those grants.
So if they was here yesterday and the grant was submitted, they came in to help the city work on the grant yesterday. What good is it gonna do me today to go and sit? They done submitted the grant already, to go and sit.
At the time, I'm sorry to interrupt you, at the time when they sent you that message, she hadn't submitted it yet. So it was still on the computer and they were inviting you to come and review it. That's why they did that. That was the only option we had at the time. We wanted you to be able to see it. So Willa was in their office and she hadn't submitted it yet. They were finalizing some details. So in order for you to be able to see it, we were willing to have you come and sit with her as she was finalizing those details. But I understand your concern.
The refresher that you alluded to, Belinda Kyle, how many pages is that?
I'm sorry?
The refresher that you're gonna share.
So,
how many
generally,
pages is it?
generally there's online, the Safe Routes to School is a federal grant,
Mhm.
and there's a framework online that gives an overview of it, and I'm
Okay.
happy to make sure we get that to the councilwoman.
Oh,
Yeah, I wanna see that too, so I can deal with it intelligently in front of, we all
Right,
need it.
okay, I can make sure you get that, and then, once we're awarded, we can give you the framework of what we've been awarded for, what they wrote the grant for. But when,
We need something ahead of
Let her finish.
that's why we invited Councilwoman Stevens to come to the police department and review it. And again, it was just one of those short turnarounds for the city itself. We actually worked on it yesterday with ODOT.
And you know what, I'm a peaceful person, and I had a conversation with Dr. Guy. Corrine and all the council people should be invited, but I should be invited. It's really a safety issue. And the reason why I'm not making a big issue, because I talked to Dr. Guy about it, and we got to the 6th to pass it. So I'm not gonna hold it up. I'm gonna move with it. But we gotta do better in these areas, in terms of communication. Just like I got DirecTV coming to my house tomorrow, okay? I don't mind participating in the training, the harassment training. If I had it on county jobs, it's something you have to have, but I probably can't be there because they're scheduled to come between 8 and 12. So I don't know what time they're gonna come. So I'll miss that training. I want to be a part of that training. So
Well, the announcement for the training was sent out over 2 weeks ago.
okay, well,
Yeah.
be that as it may, provide us please with the refresher so
Absolutely.
that when we come before the public and Kareem's concerns and I can deal with this thing intelligently. But if it's
I'll get it for you.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Okay.
Take it
Okay,
easy.
Mr. Chairman. Yeah, we're cool. I mean, we're cool.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just that there's things that I don't know, and when you don't know, you're supposed to ask questions.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
And the consensus of the committee was that we would move forward, but we needed to have some information. So it was never like we were not going to pass it. We just want to know what is going on.
And I would add to what she's saying is I can't remember all that, every little detail and all that. I remember the safe route with reflected things and some of the stuff they passed out over the years. I don't remember all the details. So that's so.
And it changes
Right.
over the years, but
Right.
the concept is still the same.
Yeah.
Helping youth understand safe routes and travel safe routes.
And I was at a caveat, getting, we talked about the governor, getting that light back up there at Stanwood and Euclid is definitely help with the safe route to school. Okay? All right, I'm through.
Thank you all. Next, we have personnel appointments. Councilwoman Gowdy.
Personnel appointment at February the 25th at 6:30 right here. I was asking about the oath because of the people that works here, and have everybody took their oath, and I found out that a lot of people have not taken their oath, or the oath is messed up, it's missing and everything, and we need to revisit that. Talked to Belinda Cow, she agreed to work with me on that, and also I wanted to know about the badges, having us to have badges first, so when people see us, they can recognize who we are. And we'll start with council first, and then we'll kind of work ourselves up, because when people come to the door of City Hall, they don't know who the worker is, and they also don't know who to talk to, so we need to start wearing badges, so we'll know, have some identification on us, so we'll know who we are. Also, I did speak about time clock. You know, I know Dr. Guy be busy and everything, and I know that I know she need assistant also, you know, and we can try to work on that to help get her assistant there, and we need, to have like a time clock there, so they can in and out. And, also, that was it. That's the end of my report. And the next the personnel and appointment, next meeting, Tuesday, March the 24th, right here at 6:30, East Cleveland City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gowdy. Next, we have proclamations.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I articulated that I went to Mary Louise Mitchell's homegoing, Claude Mitchell's mom. So we have it, the proclamation here, and like I said, there was a proclamation there from the mayor's office and from the Judge Dawson. Okay, good program, right? So I'll present that Tuesday if that's okay with everyone.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Councilman.
All right.
Next, we have legislation. Dr. Guy, please.
Okay, ordinance number 04-20, the number was reassigned, on the general services, it read ordinance number 06-20. But it's reassigned, and so I skipped the number in my record, so. It's an emergency, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract, with the Ohio Department of Transportation pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 5521.01 to improve the signage, crosswalks, pedestrian signals, and sidewalks to service the East Cleveland City Schools in the city of East Cleveland, and declaring an emergency for the public safety and welfare. Requested by the mayor and sponsored by Councilor Stevenson and Councilor Martin. That was added. I would also recommend adding the $25,000 in the preamble.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Please.
And also, just for your information, the reason why it's an emergency because we got to the 6th, right, to pass it. So that's why it's an emergency. So we'll have someone else come up and ask why it's an emergency. We know why. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
All right.
Councilwoman Stevenson, any more comments?
No, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Guy?
Is that it, or move to regular?
Oh, we had a consistent, we had a consistent move.
Okay. Ordinance number 05-20 is the second reading, ordinance to authorize the mayor to extend the contract with Cacchini and Pacini, an independent public accounting firm, IPA, to audit the city of East Cleveland's 2018, 2019, and 2020 financial statements for a total cost of $202,360 over the course of 3 years. Requested by the finance director and sponsored by Council President Smith.
Thank you. Again, this is a chance to upgrade and get our credit back on track. We'll be getting audited for the years 2018, 2019, and 2020 with a cost of $202,360 split over a time of 3 years. So we'll be paying $160,000 for the first 2 years, and then the remaining cost will be paid in 2021. We had a question the other day about the line item. The funding will be coming out of Central Services. Again, that's a tax audit for the years 2018, 2019, and 2020. Any more discussion from my colleagues? Thank you. We had a consensus to move.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll be moving forward, Dr. Gunn.
Okay, resolution 02-20, that's gonna be removed for the next meeting. There's information in your packet, as to why that property will not appear on next week's agenda.
Okay.
So it will not, you saying it will not?
It will not.
That's 0520?
Mm-hmm.
No, you mean 0220?
02-20.
Okay.
Resolution number 03-20 is the second read. A resolution authorizing the mayor to transfer to Jason Shaner under the Neighbor Next Door ordinance at a cost of $100 a parcel of vacant land in the city as part of the land reutilization program and located at 140005 Ardnall, East Cleveland, Ohio, 44112, permanent parcel number 671-10205, requested by Building and Housing and sponsored by Councilor Austin.
Councilor Austin is absent, but I know, we all know Mr. Shaner came in. He's been on Ardnall for a while now, maintaining the property, and he wants to extend his driveway and plant flowers. Any discussion? We had a consensus to move.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving to the regular council meeting. Dr. Guy, please.
Resolution number 04-20, a second read, a resolution authorizing the mayor to transfer to Lily Hunter under the Neighbor Next Door ordinance at a cost of $100. Parcel of vacant land, held as, by the city as part of the land reutilization program and located at 13612 Milan, East Cleveland, Ohio, for 4112, permanent parcel number 671-04116. Requested by Building and Housing and sponsored by Councilor Austin.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Ms. Hunter wants to maintain the grass, plant flowers, expand her fence. She's been maintaining the property for the past 5 years. Any other discussion? Thank you. Do we have a consensus to move right along?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll be moving resolution number 04-20 to the regular council meeting. Dr. Guy, please.
Resolution number 05-20, second read. A resolution authorizing the mayor to transfer to Jacqueline L. King under the Neighbor Next Door ordinance at a cost of $100 a parcel of vacant land held by the city as part of its land reutilization program and located at 1744 Coit, East Cleveland, Ohio, 44112, permanent parcel number 673-04048. Requested by Building and Housing, sponsored by Councilor Austin.
There you got Dr. Guy. Mrs. King's son came in. Again, they've been maintaining the property for the past 10 years. So they want to keep beautifying the property and keep maintaining the property. They've been cutting the grass at that property, like I say, for 10 years. Any discussion from my colleagues? We have the consensus to move it on.
Yes.
We'll be moving resolution 06-20 on to the regular council meeting. Resolution 05-20. Thank you. Dr. Guy, please.
Resolution 06-20, a second read, a resolution to support the replacement of the Cuyahoga County's current 3.9 mill levy with 4.7 mills for the Health and Human Services, requested by Councilor Martin and sponsored by Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Councilman Martin.
Yes, just for the record, the Cuyahoga County Health and Human Service System primarily provides services to 5 groups with critical needs. Children who are at risk of abuse and neglect, people with mental illness or an addiction, people with serious health issues, victims of crime, and senior citizens and people with disabilities. So it's a slight increase, but it's definitely something that we need to act on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. Any discussion? We got a consensus, moving on. Yes, thank you. Moving resolution 06-20 to the regular council meeting.
Resolution number 07-20 is a first read, a resolution authorizing the disposal of non-functional obsolete computer equipment that is of no longer further use to the city, to junk or scrap pursuant to appropriate health and safety regulations in order to provide for safe access upon city workplace spaces. Requested by the IT department and sponsored by Councilor Stevenson.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Councilwoman Stevenson.
This is old, equipment that the city needs to dispose of, some for safety reasons. The finance director came in and we did receive the backup documentation that we requested, to see what these particular items were, so we can move it.
Thank you. Any other concern?
No.
Moving resolution number 07-20 to the regular council meeting. Thank you all. Next, we have remarks and requests of the public, 3 minutes. Hearing none, we move on. Response of council and mayor to remarks of the public. Mayor Brandon L. King.
I believe, Council President, that my executive assistant has those documents.
So this is the,
Help you curb your enthusiasm. I don't know why I keep thinking of that show. I've been thinking about it all day though.
1 second, Mayor, it's still printing some of it.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is the framework. I'll make sure, Dr. Guy, I'll email it to you because it's a pretty lengthy document. This was the original framework that the city submitted, and this is the renewal that we're working on. Of course, I got a paper jam up there, so I'll go try to fix it, but there's that. I wanted you to know that we do have that, and I'll go and try to get the rest of them printed for you.
Okay,
Thank
it's
you.
loose, so Corrine can see it. I get a copy from you tomorrow, Dr. Guy. Okay.
Thank you. Any other remarks, Mr. Mayor?
No, thank you, Council President.
All right. Next, we have remarks of my council colleagues. Councilman Martin.
This was a good meeting, right to the point, so I'm gonna keep moving with it.
Keep the momentum
All
up.
right, okay.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gowdy.
Well, I thank each and every one of you for coming out today, and it is a good meeting, and, that's my report for today. But I did have a question about, I did have a question, and it just come and go real quick, but I should have wrote, here it goes. About, what Kareem was talking about, the crosswalk, is they putting it, is they gonna put in the crosswalk for the kids? I mean, walk across, is there a crosswalk there?
We're
For,
at,
for the,
so this grant,
the grant?
it will, it covers all of that. Now, I'm not sure because I haven't seen the grant, so I don't know if they said we're gonna put in 2 crosswalks, hire 3 guards, buy 2 bikes. I'm not sure of the particulars in that manner
Okay.
as to what exactly that money's gonna be spent on, but rest assured it will be spent on safe routes to school, applications thereof, right? And by the time they execute it and spend that money, they do have to then write a report on what it was used for and submit it back in order to be eligible for future rounds of this grant money.
Okay, I really did get enough information on that, but it's okay.
You should get that.
Because, if we don't know if it's for the crosswalk, it's still more to talk about.
Well, tomorrow, when Dr. Guy has that documented, you can be able to peruse it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gowdy. Councilwoman Stevenson. Council Vice President Stevenson.
I would just like to say, Mr. Mayor, my enthusiasm. If somebody needs help with the submission of an electronic grant, they would ask me, I can help them. If I had known that, then I would have went up there and helped. To know that they didn't know how to do it changes, how come we didn't have the information? But if I can be of assistance in the future with the submission of any grant, any electronic business, then I'd be more than willing to help them.
Thank you for that offer, and we'll keep that in mind.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I want to thank my colleague, Mr. Mayor, Madam Law Director, our great clerk, Dr. Guy, our great cameraman, Mr. Drew, our great residents. I know it's very, very cold outside. I want to thank you all for coming. Our committee meetings and our agenda review meetings and our council meetings are very, very, very important. So again, we beg of all of you to please attend to see about your health, interests, rights, and needs. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.